Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Janet's English class, and today I'm going to be recounting my Cambridge test taking experience. I took the CAE test last week, and if you're not sure what CAE is, it's a Cambridge English examination. It stands for Cambridge Advanced English, CAE. The reason I'm taking this test is basically to test my own English skills. I'm still waiting for the results, and so I'm going to be recounting my experience, and I'm also going to be sharing some ways you can prepare for the CAE test, and also some tips that may help you along the way. Let's get started. So let's first talk about my experience in the CAE test. So it was nerve-wracking. Yeah, to be honest, I was only there for the experience because I wanted to see how well my English level was, like how good I was, and to really test like the test format to have the experience. So, in the future when I do have a test, I know what it's like. So the test lasted from 8:20 a.m. all the way to 3:00 p.m. and I was super nervous. Yeah, the day before the test, I was extremely nervous because I didn't know what was coming. But, to be honest, like when I really did the test, it wasn't, for me, it wasn't so hard, but it was kind of difficult. So at the test building, I received a card with all my Cambridge English test information on it, including the schedule, and then I gave my health insurance card to the exam officers and all that. Then they took us to the first test room, which was reading and writing, the test I was most nervous about, but I also prepared a lot for this exam. Part of the reason why I was so nervous was because I never really had a test where it tested you on your reading skills and your use of English. For the past levels, such as starters, movers, flyers, and KT, PT, it tested me on reading and writing. It's combined together, but now it's basically reading and use of English split with writing. So writing is a whole new test. Reading and use of English is a combined test. So when I was at the test room, I put my backpack on the chair, and then the invigilator handed us the test paper. And just a quick heads up, the reading and writing test is 1 hour and 30 minutes long, and the 5 minutes is included in that time for you to copy your answers onto the answer sheets, which is a separate piece of paper where you fill in the bubbles and write the letters in the boxes for spelling out words. But the way I did it was that while I was doing the test, I copied down the answers onto the answer sheet. But if you're prepared to copy and transfer your answers onto the answer sheet, or you just prefer to do it that way, then yeah, that's fine. But I just find it that I think it's easier to copy down my answers onto the answer sheet while I'm doing it, so I don't clump all of that into one 5-minute duration. I think it's easier for me to go with the flow. Alright, so during the test, I worked on the questions, and if I didn't know the answer to one of them, I would, skip it and then come back to it at the end of the test, or when I felt like, okay, I'm done and I want to go back and think about it again. This is a very good strategy in test taking because it prevents you from stressing out on one question, spending too long on it, and not having enough time to work on the rest of the test. This works especially well in the case of taking the CAE test because the reading and use of English test is extremely long, and even though it might not be the same for you, it still requires some thinking, and going back to a difficult question definitely helps. And so that's it for reading and use of English. Let's move on to my experience in the writing exam. Alright, so next I'm going to talk about my writing test experience in the CAE. So CAE writing test is different from, all the other levels: starters, movers, flyers, KT, PT, or KT for schools, or PET for schools. Big reason is because you have to write 2 pieces of writing. So you will be given one prompt that is compulsory, meaning that you have to write it. You have no choice but to write that. But the second section consists of 4 prompts for you to choose one prompt to write about. So for example, it tells you can write a letter, a review, a recount, or a descriptive piece of writing. You can choose one to write about and write about the topic it gives you. So for the first prompt, it's compulsory. Second prompt, you only choose one writing to write about. So for this test, your writing has to be somewhere around 220 words to 260 words. The minimum I think is 220. I'm not sure, but that's the test I took. And also make sure to write in a black or blue pen. And also in the test, you will be given a piece of paper and the answer sheet where you actually write your writing, and the prompt paper where it lists out all the prompts. So yeah, and that's generally what you need to know about the writing test. Also, a quick note that each prompt is awarded the same amount of points. So if you're unsure if one prompt awards more points than the other, no. All the prompts are awarded the same amount of points. So when I did the writing test, I drafted each of my writings, and then I copied them down onto the answer sheet, so I make sure that my word count lies somewhere between 220 words to 260 words, because for me, one of the big problems I have when I write is that I write more than the maximum. So I made sure that my writing was not too long but was not too short. And yeah, it really helped. So I first planned it, and then I drafted it, I edited it, used some advanced vocabulary, and then I wrote it down for the real writing on the answer sheet. This is a very helpful tip you can use when you're doing the CAE writing exam. Yeah, and that is some tips that can help you along the way. So let's move on to what I did in the listening test, some tips to help you. Alright, so let's move on to our third section on my listening test experience. Alright, so to be honest, the listening test is quite similar to the FCE listening test. So let's see what is required and what you can do in the listening test. So here are some of the rules. So each question recording is repeated twice. So if you missed it on the first time, you can listen to it again. And also the question starts after you hear a beep sound, and that will be also mentioned in the recording on the radio, the invigilator plays. So you'll be given time to look over the questions before the recording is played, so you can look over the questions so you don't have to read and listen at the same time and multitask. I find that quite difficult sometimes. And here's a quick tip, very important: listen carefully. There may be some red herrings or information that is later twisted in the question, and also remember that the answer may not be directly said in the question, but can require you to infer and pick the best answer according to what you hear. And that's kind of like what's hard about the CAE listening test. And also, while listening to the recording the first time, listen to the keywords and core points made by the characters. I did not write down all the points the characters said, because I want to focus on the topic, what they're actually talking about. But if you think you want to do that, then go ahead. And also, if you think you have missed something, or if you're unsure to what you want to write, listen closer the second time. Even if you have no clue of what to write or what the answer is, perform an educated guess. This is the best way that will help you achieve a high score on the test. Let's move on to our last section about the speaking test. Alright, so now on to my experience of the speaking test. So for the speaking test, you will be assigned to a partner or 2 other partners. On that day of my exam, I was with 2 other partners because the amount of students taking the test was an odd number. So I was assigned to 2 other partners, but that doesn't make any of a difference to your results. So there will be 2 people marking you. So in the exam room, a person was, sitting, the exam teacher was sitting on a chair and then with his partner on the back marking your speaking abilities. So that's how it works. So for the first section of the exam teacher asked me a few questions, not too personal, like, just broad questions about something like, where do you work? Well, if you're an adult, and if you're younger, they might ask you questions such as, what do you do after school every day? Do you think family time is important? And some questions like that. You can search them up online and you can practice yourself. So this is the same with all the other partners or your partner. And for the second section, the exam teacher will give you a piece of paper with 3 images to talk about. This is an individual task. The question or questions will be stated on the paper and you will have to talk about 2 of the images. And normally you will get 1 minute to speak. So here is an example of, kind of what you might see in the exam. So after your partner and you or your 2 other partners have finished talking about their images, the exam teacher will ask you questions about your partner or one of your partner's images, and you will have to, answer about what you think about the other person's images. Not about what they said, but, your opinion on them. So then afterwards, the exam teacher will hand you all a piece of paper with a topic with factors about it, and it's all the same, yeah. So each person talks about one of the factors for 1 minute. And lastly, the exam teacher asks you and your partner or your 2 other partners to discuss the question. And that can be any question. Here is an example of what you might see, like a question, the topic about what you might be discussing in the exam. Alright, and that's about it for the speaking test. Now for the last section of this video, I'm going to talk about how you can prepare for the CAE exam and some tips you might find helpful along the way. Alright, so right now I'm going to show you how you can prepare for the CAE preparation, for the exam. If you type into Google the Cambridge CAE preparation, you will see this first link. Click on it, and inside there will be, this advanced preparation. There are paper-based sample tests, there are computer-based sample tests, there's free English practices, all these preparation. There's even workbooks you can buy. And yeah, and if you click on here, this computer-based sample test, you go over here, reading and writing. Well, not reading and writing, I mean reading and use of English. Yeah, and you can test yourself a model of what the test might be like, type in your answers, and you can try that out yourselves. This is the listening exam, you can start that. This is the writing exam, where it kind of gives you this stimuli of what the real test may be like. You can try that out yourself. There's prompts, everything about what you might need for the exam. And so there's all sorts of preparation over here. There's a writing checklist to see what you need for the writing exam. There are self-study activities that are free. You can download the PDFs. There's preparation materials, summary regulations, formation, and all sorts. Now I'm going to show you a handbook. Yeah, just an overall scroll of the website. Here's the handbook. Show you how you get there. I kind of forgot where I got to the handbook, but it's somewhere in this page. Yeah, so this is the handbook. If you scroll down, you know, if you're an educator or if you're a student, this handbook is very helpful for you, for you to know what is required in the exam. You know, you can print out the past papers. There's even answers. You know, if you're an educator and your school is hosting a CAE exam, this will be helpful for you. You can print these out and you can go through them. If you're a student, check this out. It will be really helpful for you, help you a lot through your preparation stance. So that's it. That's how you prepare. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we have reached the end of this video. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and like this video. I hope you learned a lot from this video about the CAE assessment, and I just gave you a recount of my assessment, preparation, progress, and my experience of taking this test. Either you're taking this assessment in the future, or you're planning to take it, or you want to take it, or after watching this video you know more about it, then yeah, you might even consider giving some advice to your fellow friends or someone you know that is taking this assessment. It might be hard for some people, it may be easy for others, but yeah, overall I just gave you a lot of information about this assessment to prepare you for the assessment. Yeah, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you guys next time. Bye!